Hello, my friends, and welcome to Just a Darn Good Story. I just want to take a moment of your time to remind you to please tap the thumbs up button, tap the bell if you want notifications of when I'm uploading, and of course, subscribe and comment. For some reason, these things go a long way to helping a channel grow. If you have a thought or a suggestion of a story you would like me to read, please send me an email. And also, if you have your own story that you feel people would be interested in, by all means, send it to me at justadarngoodstory@outlook.com. All right then, please enjoy today's story. In the quiet suburbs of Evergreen Heights, a neighborhood just outside of Seattle, Washington, where families went about their lives in predictable rhythms. Soccer practices, backyard barbecues, and late-night Netflix binges. Something insidious began to unfold in the summer of 2018. What started as whispers among the neighbors about odd noises and misplaced items escalated into one of the most chilling, unsolved true crime mysteries in Pacific Northwest history. This is the story of the man that they called the Phantom Photographer, a shadow figure who didn't just break into homes. He lingered and observed and documented his invasions in the most personal way imaginable. He turned the sanctity of everyday life into a gallery of terror, capturing selfies amid the obvious routines of his victims. And the scariest part, he was never caught. Our tale began with the Harlan family. Mark, a 42-year-old software engineer, his wife Sarah, 39, a school teacher, and their two kids, Emily, 12, and little Tommy, 8. The Harlans lived in a modest two-story colonial on Maple Lane, the kind of house with a white picket fence and a welcome mat that screamed normalcy. On July 15th, 2018, Sarah woke up with the faint click of a camera shutter in her dreams. Or so she thought. It was a hot night, and the family had left the windows cracked for a breeze. Mark had double-checked the locks before bed, as he always did. But that morning, as Sarah scrolled through her phone while brewing coffee, she noticed something peculiar in her camera roll. A photo she didn't remember taking. The image showed their living room at night, dimly lit by the glow of the TV that they had forgotten to turn off. In the foreground, slightly out of focus, was a man, tall, slender, wearing a black hoodie and gloves, standing behind the couch where Tommy had fallen asleep watching cartoons. The man's face was obscured by shadows, but he was holding up Sarah's own phone, snapping a selfie with the sleeping boy in the background. Timestamp 2:47 a.m. Sarah's blood ran cold. She had never taken that photo. No one in the family had. Panicking, she woke Mark, who dismissed it at first as a glitch or a prank by Emily. But a quick check of the doors and windows revealed no signs of forced entry. The police were called, but Officer Ramirez from the Evergreen PD treated it like a low-priority burglary report. Probably a neighbor's kid messing around, he said, noting that nothing was even stolen. The Harlans changed their locks and installed a basic security camera system that very weekend. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. Word spread through the neighborhood Facebook group. Has anyone else found weird photos on their devices? Sarah posted anonymously. Responses trickled in. A few blocks away, The Ramirez family, no relation to the officer, reported a similar incident. Elena Ramirez, a single mom of 3, discovered a selfie on her iPad's photo library. A man in dark clothes posting in her kitchen at 3:12 a.m. with her refrigerator door open and a half-eaten apple in his hand. In the background, her youngest daughter was visible through the doorway, tucked into bed. Again, no forced entry. Nothing missing except peace of mind. By August, the pattern emerged. The phantom photographer, as the local news dubbed him after a tip from an anonymous source, targeted middle-class homes with families. He didn't steal valuables. He stole intimacy. He'd slip in through unlocked windows, pet doors, or even picking simple locks with alarming ease. Once inside, he'd watch, for hours sometimes. According to timestamps on the phones, he'd move silently through the house, observing the occupants as they slept, ate, or argued, and then, using their own devices, phones left charging on a nightstand, tablets on coffee tables, he would take selfies, always with the victims in the frame, unaware, vulnerable. Investigators pieced together a timeline from the digital breadcrumbs that he left behind. In one case, the Thompsons' household on Oak Street, he captured a series of photos over a single night. First, at 1:05 a.m., he was in the master bedroom, standing at the foot of the bed where Mr. and Mrs. Thompson slept soundly, his gloved hand giving a thumbs up. Then at 1:22 a.m., in the teenager's son's room, mimicking the boy's gaming pose in front of his computer, with the kid snoring in his bed. By 1:45 a.m., he was in the kitchen, helping himself to a glass of milk, selfie style with the family dog curiously sniffing his boots in the background. The final shot, at 2:10 a.m., he was waving goodbye from the front door. The sleeping family home, framed like a postcard from hell. What made it terrifying wasn't just the invasions, it was the deliberation. Forensic analysis by the FBI, who got involved after the 5th reported incident, revealed he used apps like burst mode to capture multiple angles. Ensuing, the selfies were perfectly composed. He deleted nothing, leaving the evidence as a taunt. It's like he was curating an exhibit, said Special Agent Laura Kincaid in a press conference. Those aren't random snaps. They're statements. I was here, I saw you, and you didn't see me. As summer turned to fall, the fear intensified. Evergreen Heights installed community watch programs, and sales of home security systems skyrocketed. But the Phantom adapted. He began targeting homes with cameras, somehow disabling them without triggering alerts, perhaps by jamming signals or cutting wires from outside. In the case of the Patel family, he even took a selfie holding a pair of white cutters, smirking under his hood, with the disabled camera dangling in the shot. Victims described a lingering dread. I felt watched even when I was alone, Sarah Harlan later told Dateline NBC. Every shadow in the corner, every creak of the floorboards, it was him. Psychological profiles suggested the Phantom was a white male in his early 30s to 40s, possibly with a background in photography or surveillance. He might have been a former resident of someone with access to real estate records, knowing layouts in advance. DNA from the stray hair in one of the homes led nowhere. It matched no databases. In July of 2018, the Martins family also appeared to be targeted. The police were contacted by Jude Martins, who was calling from a business trip in New York City. He said there was a burglary in progress outside of the town of Evergreen Heights. He reported to 911 that his security cameras alerted, and he watched as a car pulled into his driveway and a man dressed all in black, including a black mask, walked to the trellis leading to the second floor master bedroom window, where his wife was presently sleeping. The helpless man watched as the intruder took his wife's phone and started taking racy pictures of his wife. Police were dispatched immediately, and the husband made play-by-play reports as the crime progressed. At one point, the wife started to giggle and called the assailant Marty. The man was speechless as the police made entrance to the home. The wife, Cynthia Martins, and the alleged assailant were hugging in fear as the police entered the room. It seemed that the couple were having an affair and had no idea that her husband had installed cameras to protect his wife and the property. The police reported that there were many pictures on her phone from the alleged assailant, but all of them looked to be in good fun. This report remains ongoing as of publication. Then, on October 31st, 2018, Halloween night, the neighborhood was alive with trick-or-treaters. But the phantom struck the quiet Wilson home on Elm Drive. Rebecca Wilson, a psychiatrist, lived there with her husband and elderly mother. That night, as costumed kids roamed outside, he entered through the basement window. Timestamp showed he spent over 2 hours there. Photos captured him in the living room, mid-conversation pose, as the family watched a horror movie. Irony not lost on investigators. Another in the bathroom, brushing his teeth with Rebecca's toothbrush. Her reflection is in the mirror and showing that she was showering and completely oblivious. The most haunting was at 11:58 p.m., him lying in the bed next to Rebecca's mother, who was fast asleep. His arm was draped casually over the covers as if he belonged there. But this time something went wrong. Rebecca's mother stirred, mumbling in her sleep. The phantom fled, but not before dropping a small item, a memory card from his own camera. Perhaps a backup? It contained hundreds of photos, not just from the Wilsons, but from dozens of homes across Evergreen Heights and neighboring towns. Selfies galore. Him cooking eggs in a stranger's kitchen at dawn, reading bedtime stories to sleeping children from afar, even dancing silently in living rooms while families argued over dinner. The card discovery blew the case wide open. Media frenzies ensued. The Phantom's portfolio. Inside the mind of the home invaders. Headlines screamed. Experts debated his motives. Was it thrill-seeking? Voyeurism? A twisted art project? One photo stood out. A selfie from an empty house. Him holding a sign scrawled in marker. You never know who's watching. And despite the breakthrough, leads dried up. Facial recognition failed due to his consistent use of shadows and angles. Footprints matched common shoe sizes. The invasion stopped abruptly after Halloween. Was it possible that dropping that card scared him off? Or perhaps he relocated? And then came New Year's Eve, 2023. A young couple, Mina and Josh Hill, decided to go out and celebrate New Year's Eve after the birth of their twins. This would be the first time out in 5 months, and the couple was looking forward to it. They chose Mina's sister Tanya to care for the twins. The couple stayed home until 8:30, giving the babies an hour to get to sleep to make it easier on Tanya. And they were only going up the road in walking distance to a local pub to celebrate New Year's Eve. The couple weren't at all worried about the security because they had a trained guard dog named Willis, who was trained to walk the perimeter of the house every hour on the hour. There was no reason for the young couple not to go and enjoy themselves. After the couple left, Tanya ordered a pizza, made herself a milkshake, and turned on Netflix after checking in on the sleeping babies who were up on the second floor. Willis, the German Shepherd, laid on the floor beside the couch, or even under the couch, which was his favorite place to lay. Tanya said every hour Willis did his thing, then came back and crawled under the couch. Tanya would reach down and whisper, "Good boy," and Willis would lick her hand in acknowledgement. Tanya ended up falling asleep. And then at 12:25, Mina and Josh came in, anxious to get home and check in on their sleeping babies, as Tanya hadn't answered her phone. They smiled when they saw her asleep on the couch, but felt a little concerned when their dog Willis wasn't there to greet them. Mina said she was going to go check on the babies, and a moment later, Josh heard a god-awful scream and ran upstairs, where he discovered the remains of Willis in several different rooms. On the wall above the sleeping baby's crib was a message written in marker. "Remember, Tanya, people can lick hands too." The police were called, and a fast-acting officer fingerprinted Tanya's phone and then got Tanya to open her photo gallery. And there they were, several pics of Tanya laying on the couch eating popcorn, as a man in a hoodie laid under the couch licking her hand. And there was also a picture of her scratching his head, thinking he was Willis the dog. But the scariest was that there was a picture of him and her in the reflection as the ball dropped at midnight, and another at 12:23, just 2 minutes before Josh and Mina walked in. And then the last one was of Mina screaming as she discovered Willis. The next day, a neighbor came forth with footage of Mina and Josh arriving home, and less than 2 minutes later, a man in a gray hoodie and jeans walked out, casually walking down the street into the dark. To this day, in 2026, the cases remain unsolved. Evergreen Heights has healed somewhat, but scars linger. Families still check their photo rolls obsessively. Sarah Harlan moved her family away, but she swears she spots him in old pictures sometimes, a blur in the background that she missed before. If you're listening to this in the dark, remember, lock your doors, charge your phone in a drawer, or maybe skip the late-night scroll, because the phantom photographer taught us all one chilling truth. The most terrifying monsters aren't the ones who take your things. They're the ones that leave the memories behind. The end.